Well, we are actually doing a Kariba deck profile. I've been joking about it for a long time, but I've done it. I have a couple of replays for it. It was very hard to get wins in Platinum with this. The deck is more of a casual deck. If you are in gold or silver, like really low ranks, and you want to cheese, then this might be for you. But yeah, let's get into it. So we have three Kuriboh. The reason we have three Kuriboh is because you need Rebo for multiply. And multiply and detonate are very good together. Detonate letting you destroy as many Karibo and Kuriboh tokens as you control. Destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number destroyed by this effect. It does not target at all. So if you destroy 5 Karibos, you can just destroy 5 things on your opponent's board. Does not target. So 3 Karibo, 2 Winged Karibo. Winged Kuriboh was actually surprisingly effective in here. Just being able to set it and being able to sponge damage is surprisingly decent, and I was really happy with how running 2 of this guy actually turned out. He's mainly in here because he's a light, and you remove Light and Dark for Chaos monsters like Chaos Emperor Dragon. If you really wanted to, you could also run Envoy of the Beginning Luster Soldier. And you could even run like Chaos Sorcerers and stuff like that for just extra Chaos drops to make it a pure Chaos deck if you wanted to be a little bit more competitive. But I wanted my main focus to be on the Kuribohs. Next we have Rainbow Kariba. This card was also surprisingly decent. So when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target that attacking monster, equip this card from your hand to that monster, and it cannot attack. Just like the monster's dead on the board cannot attack. And then when your opponent's monster declares a direct attack while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon it but banish it when it leaves the field. So it has a pretty decent secondary effect and I'd say a very decent first effect. I remember way back in the day people ran this in Lightsworn when that was a tier 1 deck. That was like a decade ago or more. But being able to play this guy in here was pretty cool. Next, we have 2 Clear Kuriboh, and this was also surprising how decent it was. I might actually cut this to 1 just to run 40 cards, but when this effect does resolve, it's really nice. When your opponent activates a monster effect that would inflict damage, and this is a quick effect, you can discard this card and negate the activation. When an opponent's monster declares direct attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard and draw 1 card. And if it is a monster, you can special summon the card, then change the attack target to it. You can only use this effect of Clear Kuriboh once per turn. So Clear Kuriboh, being able to draw 1 is really nice. Being able to special summon the monster is really nice if you choose to do so, because sometimes you'll float into something like a Winged Kuriboh or a Kuribohs. So having 2 Clear Kuribohs is good. You could cut it to 1 if you wanted to. Next we have Kuribohs. So at the end of the battle phase, you can discard this card, target 1 monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle and sent there this turn, and special summon it. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target any number of Kariba monsters in your graveyard, and special summon them. So this card's decent. Being able to spam out the smaller puffballs from the grave is pretty good. Being able to get the destruction effect to discard to have 1 monster that was destroyed by battle this turn, special summon is actually very good because it doesn't have to be a Kuriboh monster, it can be any monster. So like if you lost, let's say, your Borlo dragon, you can bring it back very easily with Kuribohs. And the next we have Perform Pow Kuribohs. So when an opponent's monster declares direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, change the attack target to this card. Proceed with damage calculation. If you would take battle damage from that battle, you gain that much LP instead. So you get to sponge an attack and gain some life points, which is pretty good because most of the time we're just stalling until we can get combos off. Next we have Kariba. So it's always a treat as Kuriboh card, which Kariba, Kuriboh, and Kariba all have that effect. When this card or another Kuriboh monster is destroyed by battle, you can add a spell or trap card from your deck that lists Kuriboh in the text. You can only use this effect to Kariba once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack while you control another Kuriboh monster, You can change the attack of all other monsters you control to 0 until the end of the turn, and if you do, negate the attack. So, decent-ish. It's not the best, but it's an effect, which this deck doesn't really have too many like heavy hitting effect monsters. So as far as effects go, it's one of the more decent ones. And then we have Kuriboh. We're running 2 of them. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card, add 1 Kuriboh monster from your deck to your hand, except Kuriboh. Once per turn, quick effect, you can discard 1 trap, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1500 attack until the end of this turn. And then we have, by the way, that add effect is just really decent to just be able to instantly add a Kariba, because the original OG Kuriboh can be discarded to stop damage calculation basically for 1 battle. You just take no damage from the battle. So if your opponent's monster is going to declare an attack and you're going to probably lose on the next attack or whatever, you can Kuriboh, and then get Kuriboh and live for another turn. Which brings us to the next Kuriboh brother we're going to use, which is Kariba. Quick fact, you can discard this card, target a Kuriboh monster you control. It gains 1500 attack. You contribute 1 of this card and 1 Kariba, Kuriboh from your hand or field, and add 1 Kari Bandit from your deck to your hand. Immediately after resolves, you can normal summon 1 Fiend monster from your hand. We're not running Kari Bandit because it's just not super good. I actually chose to run Skilled Brown Magician instead. I do like this card a lot. It's pretty sweet. Every time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. When a spell resolves, you can remove a spell counter and it can get 1 of the following effects, and you can only use each of the effects. You can only use this effect once per turn, so you can only use 1 of these. So you can either make it permanently gain 1500 attack and a level. So the next turn, if it survives for more than 1 turn, you can basically make it have gain 3000 attack. And then the other effect is add a Kuriboh monster or a multiply from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you can keep recycling multiplying Kuriboh, which is pretty sweet because you can link ladder climb with the tokens. And then all these dudes are level 1, by the way, so if you really wanted to, you could also run 1 for 1. I just don't see too much of a point in it since most of them are like hand effects. I guess to bring out Rebo to then use multiply with, but I don't know if I'd even want to spend the card for that because I could just summon Kuriboh and use multiply and then use detonate or link ladder climb. Next we have Curry Babylon. This card's not very good. It gains 300 attack and defense for each Kuriboh monster in your graveyard and that you control. So at most 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. So you can have like 12 in there, could potentially gain 36, but you're probably not going to have 1200. Sorry, you're probably not going to have 12 Kuribohs in your graveyard most of the time. You're probably only just going to have a couple. And so this guy doesn't really get super big. The effect that lets him special summon him out if you have more monsters in your graveyard than your opponent is pretty nice. The battle phase effect you'll never use. It lets you special summon 5 monsters, all the Kariba brothers, basically, from your hand or graveyard in defense. You won't use that. Next we have Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy of the End. You will use this card. I've stolen a lot of games with this card. Can't be normal summon or set. Must be special summoned by banishing 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard. So 3000 attack monster for almost free. Once per turn, you can pay 1000 life points, send as many cards in both players' hand and on the field as possible to the graveyard. This includes him, so just know he will not be on the field afterwards. Then inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card sent to the opponent's graveyard by this effect. You cannot activate other cards or effects during the turn you activate this card's effect. But if you are in a really tough spot and you know you can resolve his effect, he can help you kind of turn the tide a bit. Next, we're running Wing Kuriboh level 9. We're running this because it's a Kuriboh deck. If you're trying to play this deck a little bit more competitively, take Wing Kuriboh level 9 out and add a Kuribohn or add a would be another good card to add. Another envoy, like another envoy of the beginning instead of the end, add the Luster Soldier. Just because Wing Kuriboh level 9 is not very competitive, unless you play against Sky Striker, in which case you're pretty safe. So activate only a Chain Link 3 or higher. Quick effect. You can special summon this card from your hand. Spell cards that have been activated are banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. The attack defense of this card are equal to the number of spells in your opponent's graveyard times 500. You can only control one Wing Kuriboh level 9. So if you play against like really heavy decks that use tons of spells, yeah, it's good. But otherwise, I don't really see it being super competitively viable, and I would prefer to run Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. But since this is mainly a Kuriboh deck, we're trying to run only Kuriboh cards. Next we have Raviel, Lord of Phantasms. This has been my win condition most of the time when I'm playing the deck. Can be special summoned by tributing 3 Fiend monsters. You can do that with the multiply Kuriboh token. So if you open Raviel, Kuriboh, and multiply, or Raviel, multiply, and Flute of Summoning Kuriboh, or Skilled Brown Magician, multiply, or Skilled Brown Magician, and like the Kuriboh Flute to do the spell counter shenanigans to add things, you're pretty much in the good to get Raviel easily. But as a fact, each time your opponent normal summons a monster, you get a Phantasm token. It's a Fiend. It's 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense, level 1, and it's dark. It cannot declare an attack. You can tribute a monster. This card gains attack equal to the tribute to monster's original attack until the end of the turn. So the Fiend token can basically make him stronger. But he's already a 4,000, so he's pretty buff as it is. And probably one of the easiest ways to win is just to drop him and smack your opponent with him. Next we have Pot of Extrav. I don't like running Extrav in here because sometimes I banish the stuff to Link Ladder Climb and then I have a bunch of dead pieces. But you really need Extrav for the consistency. Since Prosperity is currently at 1 at the time of making this video, you just kind of need Extrav. Maybe you could get away with other cards for consistency like 1-for-1, but as of right now I think Extrav is probably your best option, even though you can sometimes banish your Link Ladder Climb pieces. Next we have 1 Lightning Storm. You're going to need this card. You're just going to need to remove a huge board from your opponent if your opponent makes a huge board, and this really helps you do it. Next we have 3 Multiply. You tribute a Kuriboh. You special summon as many Kuriboh tokens, Fiend Dark, level 1, attack 300, defense 200 as possible in defense position, and they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. But you may use them for a Raviel, you can use them to link, you can use them for whatever else you need as long as it's not being tributed. Heck, you can even attack with them if you're desperate. Next we have 3 Flute of Summoning Kuriboh. You can take a Kariba or Wing Kuriboh from your deck, add it to your hand, or special summon it. Next we have Detonate. Destroy as many Kuriboh and Kuriboh tokens as you control as possible. Destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of cards destroyed by this effect. Once again, it does not target. It sucks to brick this card, but it is so nice when you resolve this card when you actually need it. Next we have 2 Threatening Roar, because we have a bunch of wimpy monsters, and sometimes our win con is smacking people in the face with a Skilled Brown Magician that has like over 3,000 attack, and we have to protect him. And then we have 3 Evenly Matched. Going second with this deck is not fun, and that's one of the reasons why we also have the Lightning Storm. So 3 Evenly Matched really helps us deal with that. And then next we have 3 Infinite Impermanence, because Infinite Impermanence just is very good against a lot of the decks in the meta right now, including Flow Under. So that's going to be it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and get to the extra deck. Extra deck, we have 3 number 51 Lionhearts. This can also be another win con. This face-up attack position card cannot be destroyed by battle. When you take battle damage from battles involving this card, your opponent will take damage equal to the amount of battle damage you took. If this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card. Your opponent takes any battle damage you would have from that battle. So your opponent's basically just going to take a lot of damage. It's just a really good burn effect. It is 3 level 1s, but it's not too hard to make. Next we have number 13, Embodiment of Crime, and number 31, Embodiment of Punishment. So basically, both of these guys are once per turn during either player's turn. You can detach material from this card. All monsters your opponent controls going to face up an attack, and they have to attack that card. And if they're able to. And why you control the number 13 when you have the number 31, and why you control the number 31 when you have the number 13. They can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, but it has XYZ material. And your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from attacks on this card. So pretty sweet effects if you get to resolve them. I've only used it once and actually didn't win that game. So if you want to replace this in the extra deck, feel free to. Maybe with extra link spiders or stuff to link ladder climb so you don't get messed up if you banish things with extravagance. Next we have Kikinashagi Fucho. Unaffected by other card effects. Once per turn. Quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card. For the rest of the turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. It's a decent stall card, and it's very easy to make in this deck because it's only 2 level 1s. And it's also wind, so you can summon an under barrier statue when Flundreeze is playing against you. Although, weirdly enough, Flunder is probably the deck I had the least amount of problems against because I would just do shenanigans until I won, pretty much. Next we have 1 Zeus, because Zeus is a good card. If you don't know what this does, look it up. I'm not going to go over it because we've went over it in probably almost every other deck profile we've done. Next we have 1 Link Spider. It takes 1 normal monster. This is because when you use Multiply, you can use the normal monster token to bring out Link Spider, and you can use another token to bring out Link Kuriboh. So typically what we do is we go Link Spider, and then 2 tokens for Proxy Dragon, and 1 for Link Rebo. Then we have 4 monsters on board that are effect monsters of different names. So we can make Apollosa, or we can make Borreload, or we can make Underworld Goddess. But basically, Multiply with Link Ladder Climbing is great. Just absolutely great. That's the only reason why Link Spider and Proxy Dragon are in here. Link Rebo. Once again, you've probably seen this card played. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, tribute this card. Change that opponent's monster's attack to 0 until the end of the turn. If this card's in your graveyard, you can tribute a level 1 monster and special summon this card. You can only use this effect to Link Kariba once per turn. I'd be running more copies of this card instead of the Crime and Punishment if I wanted to spend the UR gems on them. If you're really serious about making a competitive Kuriboh deck, I would say spend the extra gems on the Link Kuribohs and the Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginnings. Next we have Proxy Dragon. If a card or cards you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 of your monsters this card points to instead. Next we have Nightmare Cerberus. 2 monsters with different names. When it's link summoned, you discard a card, target 1 special summon monster in your opponent's main monster zone and destroy it. If it was co-linked, you can draw a card. So Nightmare Phoenix is the same thing, but for spell and traps. Borreload Dragon. Basically, neither player can target it with monster effects. As a quick effect to target a monster on the field. The monster on the field it targets loses 500 attack and defense. Your opponent can activate cards or effect in response to that effect's activation. Then at the start of the damage step, when it attacks an opponent's monster, you can place that opponent's monster in a zone this card points to and take control of it, but it's sent to the graveyard during the end phase of the next turn. Next we have 1 Apollosa and 1 Underworld Goddess. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. I'm going to go ahead and get into the replays, and while I'm going to the replays, quick sponsor plug. I just want to let you guys know that you can get 10% off of W by using code SIRLARGEGAMING with the link in the description down below. I really, really like the peach mango flavor. I should probably have that in the banner instead of the dragon fruit one, although that one's pretty good too. But let's get into this 9-turn replay. Get this up off the screen. And yeah, really good energy drink if you like energy drinks. Highly recommend. As I say as I drink a Diet Coke. Yeah, so we opened pretty decently, actually. So they have the Link Kuriboh, and I'm just like, is it the mirror? But no, it's just Alley Fibrex. If that was the mirror match, I would have just been like, all right, what other YouTuber is making a Kariba deck profile? So we let him bring out the Auroradon, but we stop the Auroradon effect. We get our boy, we summon our boy, we multiply. We do not want them to draw more cards after we summon, so we're going to remove the counter, add another multiply, set the detonate. Unfortunately, I forgot about Auroradon's other effect, and we're going to lose the detonate, which we kind of shot ourselves in the foot on. That was bad misplay for me. But I said, well, we're still going to make it out. We're just going to use Kuribohs. We're going to get back our boy. Unfortunately, there's not much we can really do with him. But now we're going to do the Proxy Dragon, because that's... just was like, oh, I'm going to go into this, forgetting the arrows suck. We're going to go into the Phoenix, and for some reason they're going to call it by the grave Proxy Dragon. Don't know why they'd do that. And so basically we're just going to pass the next turn, and at this point we're going to say, okay, bring back for Kuriboh, chain the Rainbow Kuriboh, and then chain the Kuriboh. And so no attack for you. They are going to Feather Duster, which gives me a counter, which is hilarious. So now we're going to add a Kuriboh because it counts as a Kuriboh card. We're going to summon the Kuriboh, and we're just gonna go swinging in on the battle phase, swinging in with those Kuribohs too. That Kuriboh token was out for blood. My boy just was like, okay, we're doing it. So Flute of Summoning Kuriboh. We're just gonna wing Kuriboh up here. My opponent's like, what is happening? And we go into the Lionheart. So unless my opponent had like the Lightning Storm, they're gonna be so boned. But that was fun. I think this person actually just like rage quit out of frustration, but this replay was like really funny, so I saved it anyway. I had a couple more replays that I did win in that I deleted just because I won using like Chaos Max. Not Chaos Max, sorry, the Chaos Dragon, the on way at the end. And I was like, well, that's not really a Kuriboh-centric win. But we're going to set the Sphere Kuriboh, we're going to set the Imperm, and we're going to hope for the best. I really wish we didn't draw the level 9. And we see 4 trap sets, so we know it's going to be Eldritch probably. And we're just going to say, okay, they can do Eldritch things, we'll pass. Setting another card, and now I'm questioning my choices. Still nothing we can do. I could have been setting monsters to try to get the Raviel out. And at this point I'm just like, well, they're not playing anything, so... So here we have a third set, and my opponent's still not going to play anything. And even if they did, I could just Threatening Roar, so I have my 3 monsters to tribute. And then I realize that that one Kuriboh is a fairy, and in fact not a fiend. So we can just summon a fiend. They're going to max C after I drop Raviel. It's like, what do you think more I'm going to do after that, man? What makes you think I got something bigger than that? And out comes the Lava Bowl. And I'm just like, okay, that's a thing. Here's the multiply. And then here's the detonate. They are going to not let me detonate for 5 because that would be something. So now we're going to Nightmare Phoenix, and they're going to Gamma it for some weird reason. And now they're giving me Kaijus and removing stuff from play, and I'm just like, what on earth is my opponent running? My opponent should be pro and switch to Kuribohs. And now we get chaliced, and I'm like, okay, Kuribohs has 1500 attack, and then I realize it's Numerons, and I'm like, oh, I have no problem with Numerons. I'm good with this. Okay. And then they bring out the big guy, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. That's not good. That's bad. And I get another lava golem, and I'm just like, okay, Numeron, go off. Go off, Numeron. We're gonna hold the Wing Kuriboh, because with 3 monsters on board, we're probably fine. We drew the Kariba, so we're like, okay, 2 monsters on board, still probably fine. They're gonna Feather Duster, which I'm like, okay, I guess I'll chain Imperm, whatever. Here comes Ass Code Talker. And so they realize that they just misplayed horribly. But even if they got stuff out, they're not going to kill me that turn because of Kuriboh. I'm going to wipe their board next turn with Lightning Storm and just, continue going off. And I was like, okay, so this is an interesting misplay they've gotten themselves into, but I think I would have won that one anyway. But yeah, casual Kuriboh deck. It's pretty fun. If you like this video and like this deck profile and you want to see me do more deck profiles in the future, just give me a like or a comment down below. Dislike the video if you disliked it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.